Hi, Carrie here from My Cloud Bookkeeping. I work with small businesses and entrepreneurs, helping them to manage their business finances in QuickBooks Online. Now, you may have seen that there's an option to turn on classes in QuickBooks, or perhaps you've heard people talking about classes and wondered, what is that? It's a way to separate your income and expenses by different categories. For example, if you own multiple rental properties, you could have a class for each of those rental properties. If you are a nonprofit and you're operating some fund accounting, each of the funds could also be a separate class. Or perhaps you just have different locations or divisions. It's a really great way to separate your income and expenses to get a more complete picture.
You are in the sample company, and I've opened immediately to a profit and loss by class report so I can illustrate to you the advantages of being able to look at your information with different column headings. Here we have our profit and loss by class. Now, typically when you look at a profit and loss statement, what you're going to be seeing is usually just these total numbers here, which obviously is not as useful. You've possibly heard me say that it's great to have something to compare your numbers to so that you can have something to kind of anchor that information. So here in the sample company, you can see that the classes that they've got set up are across the top here: admin, east, north, south, and some beautiful not specified. The idea would be that this particular company has decided that it wants to split its income and expenses by compass points and also record some administrative expenses separately. And then, of course, we have this huge not specified, which is most likely because it's a sample company. So what I'm going to do is show you how you would set classes up if this is something you want, how to name them, and then we'll record a few transactions. Clearly, the sample company already has classes turned on because we can see it, but if you didn't, you would pop up here to this gear icon. This hasn't changed in the new user interface, so that's good news. Pop into Account and Settings, and then go to Advanced. Now, under Advanced here, we scroll down and we have the option to track classes. So I'm going to click Edit so we can see how this works. So track classes is turned on. I'm not going to turn it off and turn it back on just in case we lose what we already have. You also have the option here to click Warn Me when a transaction isn't assigned a class. Now, if everything you're doing should have a class on it, then this is a great idea. It'll stop you having as many items in that unspecified. Now, part of the beauty of classes as opposed to locations is that you can assign a class to each row in a transaction, not only an entire transaction. And where that might be useful is, okay, I'm going to use a really basic example. Say you just go to the stationery store and you buy 4 boxes of paper and you want to split that bill between the 4 different locations or the 4 different classes. That's a really lame example, but that's an example. It could be that you're doing bulk ordering, maybe from a warehouse somewhere to provide supplies, like in our sample company, we have rock fountains and pumps. Perhaps all of those get purchased and then assigned out to different locations. So too sure what other examples I can think of off the top of my head, but if you think of any new cool ones, write them down below. So I'm going to click Save here. So we have effectively just turned on classes and we're done. Now, we may not want to name our classes this, or we may have noticed West is missing. Let's go and have a look and see what's going on. So up here under All Lists is where we can name the classes. So here we go. Oh no, we do have West. We've got Admin. You know what? I want to show you how to make a new one. So let's add a new one that's a warehouse, for example. That would be different to our admin. We'll take warehouse here and we'll click Save. Okay, so you can see that we have all of these classes set up and we can allocate our income and expenses to them. Also, we could rename them. So if we wanted to pop up here to admin and rename it administration, we can do that and save it. What I'm going to do next is show you how you can use these classes in your transactions. We're going to pop to this little create button here, and the first thing we're going to do is enter a bill. So I'm going to buy things from, let's see who we're going to buy them from. Oh, I'm in the Canadian sample company. Look at that. So this is an event planning company. We'll go to Supplies Depot. It's kind of the easiest thing, I think. And we'll get some supplies. There must be a count for that. Yes, there is. And I'm going to say that we're buying $50 worth of supplies for the admin location. Then we're going to get some more supplies, $50 for the warehouse. You could also have a situation where perhaps you've got a cleaning bill that's split between admin and warehouse. Anytime you want to be splitting your bills is the reason that we chose to have a different row for the class. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to split this. So I'm going to go ahead and throw some supplies in West. And that way we'll be able to see, let's put a lot in there. Let's put $5,000 worth of supplies in for West. Then we'll be able to see how it shows up on our report. Save and close. So let's run a report. That's a class list report. That's kind of cool. Okay, that's not the report I'm looking for. Let's pop over to here. And we'll grab our profit and loss by class. Where's it gone? Here it is. Let's make it a favorite because we're going to be using it quite a bit today. And now we see we've got the warehouse and we've got West showing up here as well. And if we scroll down, you can see the $5,000 for West and the $50. And here's our other $50 for admin supplies. So that bill that we created just fed through into our class report. Now, if you're adding things directly from the bank feed, you can also assign the class. And let me go and show you how we want to set that up. I'm going to pop back to accounting here and bank transactions. So taking a look at the bank transactions page here, this one happens to be the older format, but the same thing applies. We pop over here to this gear icon and we have the option to add a column for class. So you'll be seeing this differently if you're using the newer bank feed, but it's the same thing. It's this gear icon right here to the top right. And that way, when you're categorizing your expenses, you can immediately put them to the class that you want them. So here we have IT Support Center. It's an expense. Let's choose a category. I guess I'm going to go for office here. Office expenses. And then I'm going to get rid of that tax, and I can put it straight away to the class of administration and add that in. And let's have a look at another one here. We've got the supply depot. Let's say these were warehouse supplies. So I'm going to pop these here to supplies for the warehouse. So I'll be choosing, after I turn off the tax, I'll be choosing the warehouse here with our warehouse supplies and add. So now let's have a look at how we can split a transaction across different classes directly from the bank feed. So click here to expand the row, same in the new format, so just find a blank spot to click it. And then you scroll down and find that word split. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this into a freight account. Here we go, freight and delivery. I'm going to say $1,500 of this freight was for the warehouse. Let's pop it into the warehouse class. Okay, so then we're going to pop freight and delivery again. Let's put $500 to West. That way we can have some more things showing up in West. We're going to add another line. So we'll add a line and put some more freight and delivery. Let's put $500 for East and some more freight and delivery. And you don't need to see me do this over and over again. So I'm going to grab this whole difference we see at the bottom right here of $958.30. And I'm going to allocate this one, I guess, to South. Why not South? We'll pop it there. So when I click split and add, we will have allocated the entire $3,458.30 across 4 different classes. Everything's going into the same category. It's going to be the same row in our income statement, profit and loss statement, but we've split it across the classes. So click split and add here. Now that we've added some expenses to classes, let's look at how we add the income in. I'm going to pop up here to create, and I'm going to go to invoice. Once again, many ways to get into an invoice. So let's just select any customer. Let's just go with Kathy's consulting company here. And what will we sell her? Let's sell her an employee celebration for $2,500, and we'll put this in, allocate this to West. So anytime you're sending an invoice, or if you're a nonprofit, you're entering grant allocations, you would put the class that this income is to be assigned to. I think it's less likely you'd be splitting income across different classes, but if you were, you would just simply put another row. So we can save and close, and then we've got income that's been allocated to West. So now let's go back and take a look at our report and see how that shows up. You can see we've got the invoice, we've got the freight and delivery we just recorded right then, along with the supplies. Now, what we could also do is create a report that shows only one of these classes or these locations. Perhaps we want to provide a different report to whoever's managing these regions. If you're looking at a non-profit, for example, and these are different grants or different funding streams, you could provide a report to each of the people who's administering that grant. I'm going to pop up and we're going to filter this report so that you can see how you can create individual reports for each of these classes. So we're going to go to filter here, and I'm going to select that I would like to split it by class. And I'm going to select North because there's quite a bit in North, and that will give us a better report. So it says North, it says total. We don't really need to see a total. I'm going to edit this name. Let's call it profit and loss for the North region. And then I'm just going to pop here for the display. I'm going to clear it so it only shows the North column without a total. Now, if I click up here to save as, we have the option to save this report, and we can save it as a custom report and make sure it's visible to others. So I'm going to save this right here. Now, if we pop back to our reports, we go to custom reports. Here it is right here, along with one I prepared earlier. So let's just click on it. And here we have the report just sitting here anytime we want it named for North. So obviously we can make one for each of the regions. Now there's another really cool function here that I love. You pop across here and you have the option to add it to management reports. So I've already created a management report for North. So I'm just going to add it to this. I called it North Division last time. So let's add it into here. And if we pop across to management reports now, we have our North Division report that we can preview. It has a header page. It has a profit and loss for North that I prepared earlier, along with the one I just did right here and now. You may also have other reports you'd want to add in here, perhaps a breakdown of sales by product, maybe an accounts receivable report so they know who to chase up. And this management reports, I think, is a feature of QuickBooks that is underutilized. Being able to add things into management reports directly from here, I think makes it a lot easier to use that feature.
Hopefully, that gives you some ideas to better classify and use your financial information. You go to all the trouble to record those transactions, a couple of steps, and they're so much more useful. I'd love to hear what you think. Have you found an interesting use for classes? Make a note below. Be sure to subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video. Cheers.